Welcome to the FCTV podcast. And my guest now with us is Josh Turiano, Chief Innovation and AI Officer at Bluestream Fiber. He started his career on a telecom help desk more than 20 years ago. Now he's leading efforts to use AI and automation to predict problems before customers even pick up the phone. From network operations to customer experience, he's had a front row seat to how technology is changing the broadband industry. Josh, welcome to the FCTV podcast.
Thanks, Maggie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cool. So first, tell me a little bit about Bluestream Fiber. Who are you guys? What do you guys do?
Sure. So Bluestream Fiber is a MSO, multiple service provider in the state of Florida and Texas. Fiber, internet, TV. We primarily work with bulk HOAs in Florida, MDUs. We have a retail segment in like Coral Springs and Weston down towards like Fort Lauderdale. And that's kind of our footprint. And then we're also in Houston, Texas.
Okay, cool. Now, I've been told you're like the AI guru, and you've been doing this for a little while. So tell me a little bit about like how you at Bluestream Fiber are using AI to automate some workforce stuff.
Yeah, so we were an early adopter. We signed with OpenAI in kind of 2024. And we went with kind of a democratized access, right? We want to give everyone access to AI. We know they're using it in some of their workflows today. We know they're using anything that you hand AI to publicly train. So there kind of became a need to, find a task forward way to adopt AI so that we're doing it smart, we're doing it intelligently, and we're making the experience for our employees and our customers better.
Okay, so what have you guys actually done?
So we created, we came up with a list of like 180 things that we would love to do. We distilled it realistically in the first kind of 6 months down to 6 things. Create an AI dispatcher.
Okay.
Create a way to deal with high repetitive, low risk tasks, and created like a triage system. So every work order that goes into and out of our billing system goes directly into a TC Triage agentic AI that makes a bunch of decisions. Instead of one person, going through 5 or 6 different websites, it goes through all that automatically and sends, work orders out into the field. And then we created, again, for our frontline teams, an AI assistant called our support guru, which essentially allows them to, give it an account number, and it'll come back and tell them everything about this customer, their history, their interaction notes, what might be wrong with their modem, what might be wrong with their Wi-Fi, in about 10 to 15 seconds. So before the customer is done, if you have them on the phone explaining what's going on, what's wrong in the home before they get finished speaking.
Okay. And what lessons have you learned from that?
For me, coming from the technology side, right, leading engineering prior, the technology to me felt the easy part. The organizational change and onboarding of this and retraining people and getting them to trust it, especially during a time when, everything is AI. AI is terrible, AI is bad, right? But when we democratized the access and we brought in champions, we started to see that we engendered trust, and they started bringing ideas that we could then again adapt forward.
So were people afraid that this is, I'm basically training the computer to take over my job?
I think that was part of it. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. But when they realized that it's helping them be a better them, then we started to get more and more examples, more and more kind of buy-in, and then we engendered trust into our own employees. That's like, look, these tools are here to help you. You don't have to use them, but they will speed you along. And, that's essentially automate the task, not the job itself.
Okay. All right. So, I would imagine you have done a lot of research on and like really kind of steeped yourself in the whole world of AI to be able to roll this out. You're the guy, it's your company, right?
Yeah, I was a bit of a geek and was running it on my local computer at home, realizing what it could do before we even started to approach it with OpenAI. So we had a bunch of, smaller use cases, and, right now, the life cycle on an AI agent is 18 months.
Okay.
Right now. So it's very interesting keeping up with how rapidly the market just for AI is changing. What we could do 6 months ago compared to a year ago is vastly different.
Okay. So, but speaking of workforce changes, right? I mean, not just for your company, but we're seeing this everywhere, right? That
Yes.
AI is coming for my job. I mean, I'm a journalist, and I'll tell you, AI is coming for my job for sure. And that's all anybody's talking about when you get together with a bunch of journalists, and we're worried about job security, and a lot of other companies and a lot of other workers out there are worried about it. I mean, what do you see from that standpoint? Is it really going to lead to fewer jobs, or is that what's happened at your company? Like, has it taken away the jobs of those workers who've been training the models, or not really?
Not really. For the dispatching team, we still have a full dispatch team, right? That didn't change. But what we did allow them to do is essentially take them off of having to check all those work orders. 70% of them are automatically out the door. There's still a human in the loop. We still keep a human in the loop for all of the agentic processes that we use. But I think it's a fair point, right? It's an uncomfortable conversation where, is my job going to be impacted? And I think we, as leaders of this, need to make folks understand that it's not just a case of where we want to replace roles. I want to empower my employees to be able to do more with these tools today, right? They are essentially new tools. They're power tools. We don't want to rip and replace. You hollow out your company if you do something like that. What we do want to be able to do is give them the ability to do as much as they can, where all the human judgment and all the empathy that needs to come with that role is important. So that's kind of my thing.
And from what I understand too, is that even when you're employing AI, I mean, humans have to still be there to sort of feed it. And as you mentioned, like, the life cycle of an agent is not very long, really, right? So the technology is always changing. So,
Yes.
I mean, is there an importance that, like, there still has to be a human as part of this anyway, right?
Yes. So if we were to look at like the future of what I think this looks like, right? You'll be able to do more with less, and I think that's something that we all see that's coming. But it's also reskilling too. Someone that's able to work with AI, just like we've had to reskill in the automation waves that we've had prior to this, it's going to be a really important skill. So maybe you have a couple of AI agents, one person is overseeing a few of them, versus, before it was 5 people, right? Now it might be 2. And it doesn't mean that necessarily the roles are eliminated, but it does mean that you can scale faster or scale quicker.
Okay. Now, taking it to, just down to like our regular everyday lives, what's AI going to look for me? For just, in your day to day, not just at work, like in your household? Are we going to see AI creeping into our lives that way?
I think we will. And I know we joke sometimes about like the coffee maker and the microwave that's connected to the Wi-Fi. And I think for us, when we look at like smart home automation, it's all very prompt based. I don't want to say it's dumb AI, but you have to request certain things and happen at certain times. Once it becomes really true AI, things are just going to happen without you necessarily having to ask for it or prompt for it.
So like what? Give me some examples here.
So, your system, has a microphone at home, just like an Alexa. It knows when you get up in the morning, it's going to turn the coffee maker on. Or you got the refrigerator, and it knows that you put milk in there, and then 2 weeks later, it's still sitting in there. It's going to give you a pop-up saying, hey, you might want to put this in the trash. Right.
Yeah, I think I need that today. Yeah,
these leftovers that I made 5 days ago haven't been touched. Like, you probably need to, do something with them. There's that. There's the smart home lighting. There's appointment scheduling and things like that, right? So when these things start to automatically pick up and understand who you are and what you do, it's just going to become an ambient piece of background noise and not something that you necessarily even have to think about anymore. That's where I think you're going to see things move in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. Is it something to be scared about?
I don't think it's necessarily something to be scared about, but what it does represent is like you're kind of handing over that decision making, tangentially to something that you have to trust, or you have to understand how it works. right? You have to have a comfort level, right, to probably get there for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And that's going to take time.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to kind of pivot back a little bit to when you were rolling out some of this AI stuff at your company. Like, are there any sort of cautionary tales that you can offer to, a lot of companies I think are looking to find ways to leverage AI to make their workforce and their workflow more efficient. But like, what were some of the like really big hiccups that you guys ran into, or was there anything that?
The biggest hiccups I think that we ran into were organizational, right?
Okay.
It is, like I said, it is power tools, but you have to understand if you're coming in and automating something, what every step of that process looks like. When we created our AI dispatcher, we rolled it out to the team. And, we said, look, you can talk to it like a human. You can give it your work order number, your check number. It'll validate who you are and help you put the equipment on the account, close the job, do all that other stuff. But we underestimated how they would talk to it.
Okay.
They would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 start job. And I'm like, no, you gotta talk to it like it's an actual person on the other end of the phone.
Oh, that's weird.
And they got really, like, some of them got really frustrated. Well, I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to use my workforce management tools. I'm like, okay, that's okay. What we realized is that we need to move that kind of experience closer to where they live. And while it's still there, and we still have maybe 40% of our workforce using it, there's still an entrenched group that's just like, I don't want to ever talk to it. I'll wait on hold, instead of actually utilizing that to help me through my day-to-day. So,
meaning your workforce or your customers don't want to talk to it?
Well, we have not exposed it to our customers yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
so this is
just internal.
Really? So there are people who are just like totally freaked out. Like, I don't want to talk to this thing to help me.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it is a bit of a cultural and organizational, shift. We, even to this day, we've been rolled out for over 1.5 years. And we have office hours every Tuesday and every Friday for an hour saying, look, bring your use case, sit down, we'll go through it, we'll talk through it, we'll teach you, and, we'll help you be a better you for whatever you're trying to do.
So how do you cross that barrier then? I mean, you're doing the info sessions, but like, do you think it's just really, you have a bunch of like old farts like myself who's just like, I'm not talking to that thing like it's like I know it. Is it just it's like, is just a younger generation going to know how to use this better or feel more comfortable with it?
Look, I think we probably could have done a better job at sitting down and saying, look, how would you want to talk to this, right? Versus listening to how they call into dispatch. Because even though and this is what we did, we listened to all the calls and the dispositions and what they called in for, and that's basically how we built it. And we expected that they would talk to it in the same way they would talk to someone that they called, and they didn't. So that was the breakdown. Was we should have we did like a 3-month, trial run with the field with people that were interested in it. The people that were interested in it are really interested in it. The people that weren't, that didn't volunteer, don't want to use it.
Right.
Even though it can give them a pre-read of what they're walking into, or do a post, trouble call check to make sure that everything's up and running. Like I said, moving and meeting them where they live, it was the biggest lesson that we learned.
Yeah.
And the other lesson for any of the executives that are listening is like, don't go in with a rip and replace mentality. If you can't fully understand everything, every single step in that process, you will introduce organizational chaos for that team. You'll make it actually worse than better.
And have you seen that happen in places?
I personally haven't seen it happen at Blue Stream Fiber because we democratized access versus forcing them, to start using these tools. But I have, a couple examples from other, portfolio companies of where they introduced it. They went in with a using high risk, low quantity use cases, and didn't put any human oversight. And they came back and was like, well, where is your human in the loop?
Right.
And it wasn't there.
Right. So there's always got to be a human somewhere.
In my opinion, today, and look, maybe that changes 15 years from now, but in the next decade, the people that win, I think, are going to start using, high quantity, low risk, and keeping a human in the loop for the decision making. That's what the future of being able to rescale on AI looks like, is understanding why it's making the decision that it is, and being able to adapt and retrain.
Yeah. Yeah. And for you guys, it's made the difference, right? In terms of like you're using it to be able to scale, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, what are your company's sort of goals are to like really go big here, right? So like, was
Yeah,
it
like
sort of a necessity?
Move into multiple states without having to double or triple the size of certain departments. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've done that. That's cool.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I think it's scary. It's a scary time for us in terms of like, again, you know, I'm coming from it like, oh, I don't know, AI don't take my job. You're saying it probably won't. But there's a lot of anxiety around AI out there, right?
I think that's fair. From my perspective, there's a lot of people that are out there saying like, look, this is happening at a pace that we're not comfortable with, which is fair. But I think we also realize that we get a say in how it gets deployed, right? And whether you're in leadership or you're not, right? Always keep in mind the people that you're impacting, and frame it in a way that especially for the broadband industry, like we get viewed as the suppliers of AI. We need to move towards becoming an infrastructure partner for some of this stuff.
Right.
So, we do get a chance to frame how this continues to move out.
That's great. So as we wrap up here, I mean, I'm going to give you the last word. And as people think about all these AI changes and what it means for us, what's the one thing that you hope listeners take away from our conversation here about AI?
At the risk of repeating myself, if you're adopting this for the first time, make sure that you're going through with your teams and automating tasks, not whole jobs. Take the simple tasks that an AI can solve for you, and start to introduce them. High quantity, low risk is your best place to start. Use that as a lighthouse project, and then expand upon it. Right. That is your best way to apply this. Don't go in with a rip and replace mentality. I think, like I said, the companies that are going to win this in the next, decade are the ones that pace themselves in adopting AI in a smart fashion, and not the ones that just throw it all out and just say we're going to go AI first and just replace everything. Because
right, get rid of all our workers. Forget it. You're done. No, can't do that.
Keep a human in the loop at every step of the process.
Great. Well, it was really great talking to you, Josh, and I can't wait to have a conversation maybe in another 5 to 10 years about this, right? Figure out where everything is, and hopefully I'll still have a job. We won't have like a bot sitting here.
AI Ask Maggie.
Yeah, that's right. AI Ask Maggie. Exactly. So, well, that's it from FCTV. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, team.